we have an extremely well-represented panel. They are here in the city to attend the ED Now Global Business Summit, which is a summit of world leaders from different domains who come and discuss what's happening in the world today. And Marianne has been one of the leaders in this domain, where she's talked about the human connect through her books, through her activism, and also through her attempts at aiming for the highest office in the US, which is the president's office. And she tried 2 times to be nominated from her party to stand for elections. But somehow that didn't work out. We'll talk about that later. Recently, I heard a comment from you which said that we are becoming too smart and too stupid. It's a very telling comment, and coming especially from someone who's been following human development and the technology coming into our lives very deeply, to a point where, as you rightly mentioned, it's an inflection point where we are trying to survive in this whole deluge of technological advances. What did you mean when you said this, that we are too smart and too stupid?
In the 1800s, with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, there was a profound shift in worldview. The 20th century worldview became very different than the 19th, just as the 19th was very different than the 17th. And in the Western world, and then this Western mindset shift was in some cases exported, in some cases imposed upon different areas of the world. There was this split between concern with outer events and concern with the internal moral dynamics of a just, merciful, and good life. And this has caused an extreme imbalance in human consciousness. Today, we are going through the same thing, except even more so. Even what you just said with AI, which of course we all understand the positive benefits and the positive potential. We all understand that. And we also understand that it's here, no matter what your opinion might be. However, even you're just saying it could create jobs, it could create human efficiency. And I can't remember the other word you said. And what?
Productive.
And productivity. I would like us all to remember that Auschwitz was very efficient. And Auschwitz was very productive. The most dangerous force in the world is the head disconnected from the heart, from humanitarian values.
We have KUNAL DALAL, who is also using technology in a very, very powerful way, advocating for something which is actually the need of the times. He spoke about it briefly in his introduction, AI parentology, where I think that whole need came from your own personal experience during COVID time, when he had 2 very young kids to take care of. And he wanted to find a way to navigate as a parent life for them, make it easier for them. And he's using technology now, not just to enhance that parent experience, but also talk about it with other parents who can gain from his knowledge. So tell us, how did it actually start, Kunal? Where was the origin of this idea of AI parentology?
Where you need to parent AI. We as humanity, we sometimes think, I need to get onboarded onto AI. I need to learn about. Actually, I believe it's the opposite. We need to onboard AI into us and who we are as people. That is what AI is going to be. AI is just a reflection of who we are, right? It's not a thing of it on its own. It's just a reflection. And right now, I think one of the most powerful things AI does is it unequivocally shows us our biases. It unequivocally shows us some of the more ugly parts of who we are, and it's being reflected back to us through these AI responses and some of these, especially some of the images and all of that. And that to me is our parenting moment as a globe, as a human community. We need to parent AI, and we need to parent it with the love, the joy, the care, the affection that we would want in our communities, not as a technological tool that sits separate from us that we need to learn how to use effectively. I think that's, sure, there's time for that, but to do it only that way, I think misses the moment.
You're using technology and AI in a positive way, and you're using it in a way that benefits humans, because the market is always going to be there, consumers are always going to be there. So what started this neutral digital journey for you, since you are a trained architect, and coming into visual communication is sort of seemingly a new venture. So how did you come into it?
It is about creating something that is a lot more three-dimensional. I strongly believe that the future of the internet as well is going to be, or is 3D. And very soon, also with AI, we're going to see a departure, let's say, from the two-dimensional way of representing information in every aspect possible. You know, be it education, be it commercial, be it cultural. So I strongly believe that this concept of becoming architects for the digital age is a very new, in a way in which you became a parentologist. So we're seeing that the new profession of being an architect for the digital age is here and is here to stay. We integrate AI in a lot of things that we do, and one of the projects that we work in is recreating an entire space for an airline in the Middle East. But it's about tracing as well the human experience. You were also touching on the subject of, like, well, how does technology actually retain the human touch? In many ways, you've seen thousands, 10,000s websites. They all look the same, and this is like the interface that we're interacting with, or apps for that matter as well. This is the way that we interact, let's say, with this other level of intelligence, now AI or internet, in this connected way. And I strongly believe that in the future, it's going to be a lot more 3D. So our job here is to integrate what is personal about an experience when it comes to a spatial setup, equally as well to create an architecture of information and to integrate AI experiences into it.
When technology was in a device, or when it was on a screen, it was still limited. But when we are arriving slowly to a moment where it's going to be all over immersive, you can hear sounds, you can see images all over, where do we stop? I mean, the human touch is going to be increasingly more and more lost. So how do we deal with a situation or a reality which is going to be immersive, it's going to be fast, and it's going to be so enticing that you're almost sucked into this metaverse?
The problem we have is that AI is becoming very sophisticated at mimicking human concern. You say it could never care. There are people, as you well know, who live very lonely lives. That loneliness is exacerbated by the fact that they're on the screen so much that they're not developing the skills of human relationship, and the computer is telling them, I care about you. Just as there is in human psychology something called a sociopath, and sociopaths they have an affect of genuine concern, so can the computer. And so you and I, having been brought up at a time before technology, can see the difference. You've got young children today, and you're just at the point where this is for you to so get this now, because we have generations now growing up that have never seen the real difference. In fact, some of these kids are actually exposed to concern coming from their tablet more than from their parents. So I think we should be, as a society, as a human civilization, having very, very sophisticated conversations about brain development in young children, and that it should be a major mainstream conversation, that technology perhaps should not even be introduced into the life of a child until such time as we need more understanding of the brain development and what it takes to have moral development, intellectual development, critical thought, before you're even exposed, so that you have a more sophisticated inbuilt knowledge that this thing could be fooling me, no different than a human being could be fooling me.
How does education come into the picture, because a lot of our systems of education are still there. We have primary, secondary, and higher education where students are taught, but somehow we've not been able to, even the best of countries have not been able to adapt, negotiate the challenges being thrown up by technology into the curriculum. You've called education system archaic. So what inputs do you have for us educators and universities to sort of bring in human values, bring in a very important aspect of navigating this whole cesspool of technology where there's confusion as much as seduction on both sides. How do we navigate that?
I work in education, of course, and we have a lot of English teachers who are worried that, oh, the students aren't writing anymore. Well, what is writing these days? It's staring at a screen and moving your fingertips in tiny little 1-2 millimeter motions. Is that writing? Like, is that thinking? And so to me, I think we have an incredible opportunity now with AI to actually, AI can do the digital things, frankly, better than we can. And because of that, well, why don't we just let it do it, right? Again, we have to onboard it and parent it correctly, right? But if we, and that's our decision, right? If we allow the big tech companies that currently own sort of this, oligopoly of like just 5 companies basically owning all of our digital tools, if we continue in that model, then we're probably going to find an accelerated version of social media in that kind of world. But if we divorce ourselves from that model and start thinking about what does it mean to be digital sovereigns? What does it mean to have our sovereign AI? What does it mean to have small language models that we can have access to offline, locally, that we own our own data, no one else sees it? That changes the entire architecture of what the digital world is. We've spent the last 30 years with this software as a service world, this cloud-based model that we think now is permanent, but it is not. It's brand new. We don't have to live in that world. The AI companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, all of them, it is in their deep vested interest that that model continues, but it is not in our interest that that model continues. So I think that's the opportunity, and that's what I'll offer you all, is that's the opportunity that we have here.
So when I was studying architecture in my first 2 years, I was already using computers to create drawings that were mandatory. And my tutors told me, if you come with another computer drawing, you will fail this course. I mean, I don't have to tell you, computers and drawings, etc., and everything technological is here to stay. So even if you find great resistance in many of the areas, try to put a really moral, ethical, positive spin on it, or your version of it. So what we're talking about today here among us is for the benefit of these guys here. So I would say try to embrace it, try to make the best out of it, try to be as informed as possible, try to have a moral compass, try to be exposed to history, to what has been happening in the past, to allow us to move forward.
The environmental impact of these huge data centers is overwhelmingly negative. And we know this. And this is an example of where humanity is already insane. This is not news. Remember, it was Gandhi who said, the problem with the world is that humanity is not in its right mind. This is an example of where we are today. Everybody knows the environmental impact of these data centers is overwhelmingly negative. I know, only speaking in my country, it's like we're no longer, if this were 25 years ago and people were saying, the overwhelming environmental impact of these data centers is negative, there would at least be a conversation about that. There would at least be a debate about it. Today, these forces are so huge. The economic and political and social forces are so huge, we don't even bother to have the debate. And if we have the debate, we know, well, we're just kidding ourselves anyway. This is exactly what I mean. Must be repaired. That's why at this point in your life, certainly your education, the moral inquiry, the spiritual inquiry, the ethical quality, what is good? Because right now, what makes money is running roughshod over any level of questioning what is good. And if we don't address this now, God help us, or at least help our grandchildren.
And I'd like to thank our wonderful panel for a scintillating conversation on a topic that's on the top of our minds all the time, especially when we are talking and listening about AI in our lives. Thank you, Marianne, Kunal, and Christian, for making time and coming to Bennett University and addressing our students. A big round of applause for them.